Hello, and welcome to the wonderful world of fully automatic timing. We're going to be working today with a Finishlynx Silver Vision package. This is the latest package, the latest camera that Finishlynx has out on the market. We'll go through the equipment that is shipped to you, go through the setup, we'll ID everything and how it all goes together, and then we will take and bring the camera to the computer. So getting started, first and foremost, you'll want to unpack your large, tall, skinny box that contains your tripod. Tripod works great in certain cases, cross-country meets, indoor track meets, for the most part, because you can't get up above 8 feet. It's not that great on the outdoor track. Plus the wind will blow them over. So if you're using it, make sure you stake it down, tie it down to the ground. Item number 2 out of the big box will be a roll of 500 foot of gun cable. Back in the early days, that was all we had for fully automatic starting. The starter had to pull the gun cable with him to each of the different starting areas, and that's how we got our fully automatic time. In today's world, with all the wireless start and that sort of thing, you don't need it except in an emergency. So we'll put that one off to the side. Item number 2, the clamp for a camera pole, and it attaches to the geared head. For today's demo of tying things together, we're going to put the geared head onto the tripod, and we'll use that as our camera pole for today. You will notice on the top you've got a platform and a silver button out front. Press that in, push it to the side, it'll lock open, and this will be attached to the lower part of your camera so that it'll sit up here with all the different parts put together. So we'll hold that one off to the side. Next item that you'll want to look at in its own little black case is your positioning unit. This will attach to the bottom of the camera, and this allows you from your computer to up, down, side to side, and also allows you to adjust with your lens and focus. It allows all your different adjustments to come through here. So we'll be putting this one on shortly. Next item, identifying in a white box that if you ordered with your silver package the Finishlynx Radiolynx wireless start, there will be the following products in here. The Radiolynx transmitter with its wire harness. This goes with the starter. He carries it from spot to spot, and it's simple, much easier to operate with than what we had back in the early days with the gun cable. So this will be traveling with your starter, your transmitter, the wire harness, and the gun sensor. Next up, hooking to the back of the camera, will be the receiving unit. The receiving unit gets the signal and is tied into the operation through the camera. We will be putting this into there's a couple different places to plug it in, but we'll be using the Radiolynx port. There's a 5-pin on the back of the camera. That's where we'll be plugging in today. You will see several different electronic connectors, plug-ins that go around the world because Lynx sells around the world. The one we want for our charging unit is this little guy right here, so that we can get our unit working properly. This is used to charge the receiver, or the transmitter plugs into the side. We always want to make sure that we have a full charge when we start the meet. And in a lot of cases, you will have supplied a second gun sensor. Make sure they stay dry. If they get rained on and wet, they sometimes will not come back. So be sure and always have some balloons, etc., ready to go. We'll put this guy off to the side. And last but not least, the large black camera case. In it, multitude of things you'll find in the camera case. Of course, starting with the camera, Finish's latest entry into the market, the new Vision camera. This one is different from our old 2000 and 2000 plus cameras in the fact that this is a PoE, power over the Ethernet. We have a remote control zoom lens on here so that you can zoom in and out and make your adjustments to the finish line. So we'll be putting stuff together with this and plugging in on the back side where the different items go. Once you've done it once or twice, you won't have any question about where everything fits. You'll have a PoE injector. This powers the camera, and so this has an electrical plug-in, and we'll put that on one end. And into the other end, you'll see an in and an out port. The out port, it's out of the back of the camera. The in port goes into your computer. Just remember, out of the back of the camera is the out. In will be to your computer. We'll be putting this one into effect here shortly. We have a purple C box with a white gun sensor on it. And remember our roll of 500 foot of gun cable. If needed, if for some reason you forgot to charge your wireless start, the gun cable can be plugged in here. We would simply remove the white gun sensor, plug the one end of the gun cable in here, and this would be the end that goes with the starter. For right now, we're going to leave this together right here, and this will be added onto the cables that run from the back of the camera. Technically, in today's world, it's power over the Ethernet, so what used to be Cat5 connections here are no longer needed. But having it by your camera will always allow you to make sure that you have a backup plan for the start, so you can do an FAT start. This will be brought into play. We have a USB to serial connector that we need to find a COM port for. We'll get that one. We have a capture button, and we have a button splitter. The button splitter connects to A, the capture button, and B, to your scoreboard controllers, if in fact you're sending running time to a scoreboard. So all of those will be adding in. Okay, continuing on as we look at all the different parts that are coming with your camera. In your big black camera case, you will find a flash drive. This will have your serial numbers for Finishlynx, for radio links, for auto capture mode, all of the different ones, which you'll have to go in, look at the files. You'll see Finishlynx, get that 10.12 or whatever it happens to be on. Then you will also look at plugins. Radio links, auto capture is there, and so is network comm plugin or any of the other things that you've added. So be sure to hold on to this. This has got your serial numbers on it. In the camera case, you will find 2 rolls of Cat5 like this, which are used to A, from the back of the camera down, and B, from the injector to the computer. So you'll find 2 of these, and also a gray cable that is the connection point for your C-box. You'll notice here we have on the C-box, there's a connection cable that comes out of the back of the camera. Now, some of the items that you will see next are not supplied by Lynx, but you may want them to be added to your operation. Number 1, I have a 6-foot opposite of the camera white pole, just so that you can get a clean picture on the opposite side. This would be outside of the track or on the infield, depending on where you placed your camera. I add to the systems I'm setting up this waterproof tub that will keep all of your different connections and everything dry. Inside the tub, different items that are added. We have a plexiglass all-weather cover for the Vision camera that we've tailor-made to fit for the Vision. We have a Netgear hub for connecting your 2 computers together, one for high-tech, one for Finishlynx. This creates your local area network. I have assorted Cat5 cables in there, depending on the type of hookups that we're doing in your system. That this would be, many of these will be used just to get all your computers and everything talking at the right pace. And within the tub, there's a universal power supply. Your injector will be plugged into it. So we know that we're going to have, if something should fail on all the power, you're still going to have 30 to 50 minutes of operating power for your camera. And what I did today was I took the second of our Cat5 cables and the gray connection cable. One end goes into the C-box, our Cat5 that comes out of the back of the camera. And one thing I found is a black woven split cable that protects it all. Now, if you're working with some of the older cameras, this would also contain your electrical power cable. So these are all good to have, good things for protection. And we'll bring our connecting cables out of there so that when we've got everything ready to go up here, we'll put that all back together. C-box. We're going to put the C-box into the tub so that we've got that in there and covered, and it'll be there if we should happen to need it. So that's on this end over here. We screw that in nice and tight. And this is now ready for the injector. We'll plug in the injector in the tub so that we've got power going here. And we'll plug in this Cat 5 into the out port because this is the cable that will attach to the back of the camera. Next step, we're going to start assembling the products that go with the camera. We talked about our remote positioner. That goes on the bottom of the camera with the double leg in front. And links, you'll see that. So we'll put this on. Remember our pad that hooks onto the clamp? This will be going on to the bottom of the remote positioner. So it will look like this. As you get prepared to start putting things together, make sure that's good and tight. Remember, this positioner unit will allow you to do all kinds of different maneuvers, including opening and closing the zoom lens. Now on the side you'll see two serials. Either or, we have our remote control zoom lens. We'll screw in here. And we have our short cable for the remote positioner that goes into the other one. And this is an either or. They can be either one place or the other. They're both serial ports. They both will handle things correctly. On the back of the camera, we will see remote control, another serial port back there. So we'll plug in there with our short gray cable. Now the two cables coming out the back, our Cat 5 and our gray connection box cable. And you will see a gray connection box symbol right here. And right now that is just a backup unit if needed. And our Cat 5 gets plugged into the Cat 5 cable. And we should see a red light come on, meaning that we have power. It's telling us that yes, everything, the injector is working, we're ready to go. Now on the pad, you'll see teeth to the back and teeth to the back of our unit here on our geared head. Hooks in, snaps in place, and always remember to take off the lens cap. Otherwise you get nothing but a black picture. The other item that we talked about that goes in to the back of the camera and I'll spin this around, you'll see a Finishlynx port, a 5-pin plug-in for the receiving unit. And I'll snap him in there, and we'll have our unit hanging. You can Velcro that to your camera pole. You can do a lot of different things with it. But for right now, we're just going to let it hang there. It's the receiving unit for our wireless start. So at this point, we technically can move away from putting stuff together. Everything is pretty well assembled at here. Now we're going to connect the injector unit to the computer, and we'll bring up Finishlynx. Okay, so at this point, we have the Cat 5 hooked up to the back of the camera, so we've got that into the injector. Then we take our second Cat 5 cable here, and we're going to put that into the in port. Remember, it's into the computer and it's out of the back of the camera. So we'll be plugging this in here. So now we have that connection set up. At this point, and I took the liberty of pre-installing the software. Again, remember, you need to put in the Finishlynx software and your Finishlynx plugins before you can bring the camera up. So this was already done. And now, in order for the camera to come up, you'll see our red power light showing that we have connections. We're going to press the white button just above it. It turns green and we get a red boot light on, which means the camera is now looking for our computer at this point in time. It'll start flashing as we start finding the computer with the camera. So I'll put this one back off to the side. And like I said, I've loaded, and I'm going to zoom in here, a little bit so that we can see some of the, let me go down into the computer screen. And we'll see a Finishlynx logo on there, third one down from the top. We're going to go in, we've got power to the camera, we're going to go in and we've loaded Finishlynx. So we are now going to click on our Finishlynx icon. And look for the camera to start loading. We see our Finishlynx comes up, it's talking, and when we're up and running, you'll see down in the lower left, let me get down there, the lower right hand corner, you will see green bars loading, and this camera loaded right up. You'll see a white line across the top that gives you and talks about your different settings. And we will even see if we can, too much. But the different settings are all there. We'll get back into focus here. The beautiful thing about the new camera is that we have a 2D window to open to help get on the finish line. And I've even put a finish line down on the floor. But right now, let's open the 2D. The 2D finish line window so that we can start aligning our camera. I use the geared head as we're doing it, and I'll get down so we can see the finish line that we have here. Your white finish line, where it intersects with the different lane lines, you're going to want to have painted black horizontal stripes so that those hash marks can be seen. Let's get on top of it. In the 2D window, we have a green line, and that green line should be set right down the middle of your finish line. We also are able to scroll up and down, and we'll see more of the finish line. And so if you're outside, think about your camera being 10 foot back from the track and 10 foot up. That's ideal. So you're looking at about a 45-degree angle to the finish line, to the middle of the finish line. And so what we're looking for is we want to be able to see the black hash marks, which designate your different lanes. So the camera is looking at it in the 2D. And so now we're getting lined up. The green up and down line will go right down the finish line, and there's two little hash marks, green ones, that you'll want to make sure that your camera is square, that they're set up right on a lane line, and so that you can see all of that. So at this point, we can move to our second screen. This would be the picture that you would be getting sent upstairs. So if we have runners going across, you will see the torsos of the different runners. Your picture, ideally, remember, the whiter the finish line and your backdrop, the whiter and cleaner your images are going to be. We'll bring up an image. File, open. And we'll see Boys 3000. Let's open that one. This will be a distance race, but your picture will look like this, so that as you're looking at it, you will see the hip numbers on the athletes. You'll see in the upper right all the data, all the Finishlynx and high-tech information will be all up there. And then you will see the athletes, and we'll read their hip number and say, okay, we're identifying by lane. In a distance race, the lane would be the number one seed, would have 1 on it, and so on. So that becomes, let's go a little bit better here. So you want to be able to see that. You see the black hash marks? They're all running in lane 1, but we see the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's how your lanes will look when you've got everything properly set. So this is the preliminary stuff. We'll come back later and talk about bringing high tech into the information, as well as things that we can add. Okay, so as you look at the screen at this point in time, if you look on the left-hand side, that's our 2D setup to align the camera to the finish line. Remember, green bar or green line down the middle of the finish, and 2 green hash marks would line up onto the lane lines. Across the top, you see the white line with all the different settings that you've put in for your camera. And these can be adjusted as you get more knowledgeable about your camera. On the right-hand side, you see a series of icons over there. If you look at them closely, you will see the top 2 rows have arrows, up, down, side to side, and if you're on a crooked area outside the track or something, you can adjust all of that. The next 6 icons are lens settings, open and close. You let in more light as the day goes, as the sun goes down. And then you've got focus in the middle and zoom in and zoom out on the bottom there. Below that, you have a single icon that's auto iris. If you want to turn on the auto iris so that during a race, it'll continue to make adjustments, in other words, opening and closing the lens. And below that, you will see find the finish line icon and also center the remote positioner. At the end of a meet, just hit center the remote positioner so that all the legs go back into their normal storage space. So this is your setup. Then if we go to load an event, we're talking about information that came from high tech when you shared it over. So we'll talk about load an event. You'll see up top icons, a lot of icons. And remember, every icon on the screen, when you point your cursor at it, it will tell you what it does. The ones we're looking for right now, there's upper left 3 card file icons. In the middle, once we've loaded and brought over the shared information, you will see a window open up and it says load schedule. You'll see the load schedule and you'll see a down arrow. It happens that Finishlynx has a practice meet for you loaded into the system. So this is the information that comes out of their practice meet. So we'll pick an event, the first event on the schedule, and we'll call it the 100-meter men's hurdles. Click OK, and that information will show up in the upper right. You will see also, going across the top, you will see a capture button icon next to where the running time will be. It has a red circle around it. So if you're doing auto capture, in other words, any movement through the line, once the athletes come towards the finish line, you would click this off. And so the camera will now capture all movement through the finish line, whatever it happens to be. So we'll get a start. We've got our radio link start system. It's turned on. Normally it would be a gunshot, but you'll see the yellow clock turn on and running time is going. At this point, anything could go through the finish line and it's not going to turn on because we have the red circle around it. So in a half mile, when they come down to the last 100 meters, you can turn it on and it'll capture every athlete as they come through. So we'll click that off and it'll capture now very quickly because motion through the finish line will be captured. So once you have captured the race, you would then come back and look at your first runner and you would take and put the cursor on him and call him, okay, he's in lane 5. So we'll do lane 5 right over here and we'll do a 5 and an enter, and that will put the information up here with the time. So you'll be adding lane, place, time to the information, the data that came over. And you'll continue on down through each of the athletes as they go across the finish. That is your hash mark where the lane line and the finish line intersect, as you see there. So we get that all lined up. Focus it. Remember, we're looking for, on the outside or the furthest lane away, the top of the head down for the athlete. On the lane closest to you, we want to see knees up at least. So you zoom in, zoom out, focus, and that's how you come to the agreement here on what looks correct. That's too dark. We better open that up. And we will zoom out a bit. That's our finish line running up and down. See the green line there. And every track is different, so make your adjustments, do all the different stuff. Look for focus, look for zoom in, zoom out, to get all of the correct items. So now when we go back to our left-handed red stop sign, now we have, as you will see, 4 lane lines. You'll have anywhere from 6 to 7 lane lines from the hash marks running across your screen. So if we were to load an event at this point in time, we'd go up here to File. Now let's go in here to the icons, the middle of the 3 card files. Icon, load schedule, and bring up the first event. And click OK. So your high-tech information will be here. All of your links information is over on this side. So at this point in time, we're ready for the starter to give us a start. Now, it came on and said that no start sensors are. So we're going to back out. One of the checks to do. And we're going to go back and reload just to double check everything. Loading Finishlynx. We have our camera. You'll see it across the top. Let's look again here. Our 2D picture of our finish line right there. That's what we're looking at. Our scanning, there it is right there. We can adjust up and down. And let's look under the blue eye. Setup. Says we have camera 1, left orientation, identified by lane, and lane's number 8. Parameters, 800 is correct. Links boost we don't have. Gain is AGC. Inputs, we have none. We have, for start sensor, nothing. Radio links were plugged into the back of the camera in the port, the radio links port. And under capture, manual and automatic. Okay. Let's go back and load the next event, the 3rd card file. Okay, let's see what happens here. Well, when I'm recording, it would be good. Okay, so we have an event loaded. We see the high-tech information on the right-hand side of the screen. We see a blank screen down below, meaning we're not capturing at the moment. As we work our way through this, we'll get a start. Gun goes off. We see our running time clock start here. You see the red circle on the capture button icon right here next to the clock. So if we click the red circle with the slash in it off, any movement through the finish line, like my hand going up and down, will trigger capture. So if we're looking at the first athlete through, and we call him in lane 4, and we go enter, we see lane 4 first place and the time. We see our second position, click on him on the torso, and that's lane 5, enter. We see lane 4, lane 5, and the time up on the screen. And we move on to the next place, and we say lane 8 and enter. That puts that person in third place. So each one can be placed as they come down. And we go to lane 3, enter. That's this one right here. So we can pull our scroll bar across the bottom. And if this one here is lane 7, enter. And lane 2, enter. We've now got 6 of the 8. And we don't have, the next one would be lane 1, enter. And lane 8 and enter. And we're missing just lane 6, so we'll go outside of there and move over here, go to lane 6 and enter. That gives us our athletes in this particular race in rank order as they finish. So at this point, we're going to save this, and we'll say yes, we want to save it. And it'll come on with a screen that will tell us where we saved it. 110-meter hurdles, men's, okay. We'll save that. Now, if we had computers hooked up to high-tech at this point, we would save it back in the shared folder, and that would get it back to high-tech for scoring. Here, we're ready for the next race. So we don't worry about the running time clock. We want to bring up the next event. And that would be the women's 100-meter hurdles, and so on. Once you have your schedule of meets in place, it's easy to continue down this line.